So there's a funny short story backing up why I tell guys never get into a relationship or date an effinist. Ever. Because it's just not going to be a very pleasant experience, particularly nowadays. And there are many reasons for that, but one is they typically have zero sense of humor. And in this story here, this effinist broke up with her boyfriend because they were watching the Sasha Baron Cohen movie The Dictator, and he was laughing at it because it's comedy, it's satire, and she didn't think the jokes were very funny. And she thought it was offensive and blah, 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 blah. So she broke up with him. And now she's having remorse over this whole thing that she broke up with him. She misses him. But clearly it looks like he's not going back to her. That'd be a pretty funny one to go over that backs up my opinion on this particular subject. Title: I, a 23-year-old female, broke up with my boyfriend of 4 months because of his opinions on a movie. Not sure if it was right or not. She says, I met my boyfriend about 4 months ago. We met through a mutual friend, and we hit off at a party, hung out a couple of times, and then eventually started dating officially. Everything was really great between us. Similar interests, had a great time together, etc. But he had to go screw the whole thing up. She says, I'm really big on women's rights. I participate in women's groups on campus in college, minored in women's studies, participated in fundraising, and has spent several summers abroad in countries where women's issues are much more prevalent than they are here in the United States. Okay, so she's one of those. And it's a whole new level when they actually minor or major in that subject in college. Look at all that money going into something that she literally could have got some books in the library or bought on Amazon and read, and you get the point. So a couple nights ago, my boyfriend and I sat down to watch a movie, and he chose for us to watch The Dictator, Sasha Baron Cohen movie. I said, okay, had never heard of it. It's a comedy film that makes fun of several different minority groups, including women. He loved the movie and laughed hysterically at a lot of the scenes, including ones that were discriminative towards women. I'm sensitive towards this shit, and it made me feel very uncomfortable. He effing loved the movie, and this bothered me a lot. So I saw this movie like 10 years ago or something, and it is ridiculous, as Sasha Baron Cohen movies are, and they're satires, and they're funny. But I remember enough about the movie that I could see where somebody with zero sense of humor, an effinist or some social justice warrior, would get bent out of shape about everything. It's a joke. It's funny. It's for fun. And if she is going to get uptight about this type of thing, goodbye. Bad idea. I told him about the movie. I told him after the movie about how I felt towards it, and he said, okay, but he thinks it was just all good comedy and that he doesn't take it seriously. He said it's not meant to be taken seriously. I asked him why he thinks it was funny, and he said, look, I just thought it was funny. They're jokes. They're not literal, and of course, they're not my views. See? Effinists, social justice warriors, the woke crowd, the far left, whatever you want to call it, they have little to no sense of humor. They can't take a joke. Everything is so serious. But what did this bonehead expect when he was dating a gal like this? Unless she was bait and switching him. Early on in the courtship, she was cool and fun and all that, and now he's seeing her true colors over a stupid movie. It says here, I honestly think everything was in good faith and it's just a movie. That's what he said to her. I was upset, and it was late, so I just left. I got home and decided that I couldn't deal with his views on it, so she couldn't let it go. The next day I went over, still upset. We had a scheduled lunch, and the topic came up again, which meant that she brought it up to stir up more drama. Same views were thrown back and forth, and I'll admit I instigated because I wanted him to apologize. See? How dare you have a sense of humor? How dare you laugh? This is why so many shows and movies are, walking on eggshells because of people like her. But at the end of the day, that's a small percentage of the population. He started to get tired of it and said, if you want me to say I'm sorry and I think that the movie should be banned, I can just say it to make you happy. But the truth is, I honestly think it's just a movie. That's all it is. And don't think the humor in it is the root of all evil in the world of women's rights. I couldn't take it anymore. I said, if those are your views, I can't be with you. And I broke up with him. This guy should have been doing cartwheels. She did him a favor. Again, it's a freaking movie. It's satire. But there are people in this world that have no sense of humor. And she is obviously a hardcore feminist that just immerses herself with all this stuff. The only guy that's going to work out with her is a guy probably with a man bun who wears his Birkenstocks, and he wears skinny jeans that are so tight that you can see the crack of his ass, has a man purse, or a satchel if you guys want to call it that, but it's a man purse. Let's be honest here. And what will happen is he'll share her views, and she'll probably be bored of him because he acts like a girl. Over the next few days, I confided in my friends, and they all said, do what you want, but I think you overreacted. Well, that tells you something if her friends, who are no doubt like her in varying degrees, all told her she overreacted. She says, I miss him dearly, and I didn't want him to leave. I didn't want to leave him. I wanted to post on here to get opinions. A part of me wants to run back and beg him to take me back. The other part of me thinks I did the right thing. I don't know. I'm posting on here to get community's opinions. So she posts on here, and let me tell you, she gets it. She even has women that claim to be feminists themselves saying, you're ridiculous. And she is ridiculous. So here's what I'm going to say. Honey, and I'm calling you honey because I know it's going to piss you off. Honey, you blew it. And not in a way that guys like. Get a freaking sense of humor, all right? You've been so up to your eyeballs in this material that everything is now offensive to you. Get a freaking sense of humor, okay? When there are major issues at hand, those are things you can take seriously, not a Sasha Baron Cohen movie. And by the way, Sasha Baron Cohen is apparently a very, very intelligent guy. And he knows his audience. He knows who's his business. It's a joke, nothing more. And your boyfriend, the fact that he dated you and you were so involved with the thing with the women, and you're clearly an feminist, that in itself shows you that he's a decent guy. But you can't take a joke over a movie and you think he's some kind of rotten person, and then you deliberately picked a fight again to try to get him to apologize, you know. And good for him for pretty much being like, the hell with this, you know. He at one point said, I'll apologize just to shut you up, which he shouldn't have done, and I obviously did not do. I wouldn't take you back at all. So if you actually want to have a guy in your life, if you like guys, you're going to need to lighten the hell up. And this material you've immersed yourself in, I'm willing to bet you that you probably have friends and family that knew you years ago that are probably like, what happened to you? Seriously. I've known gals when I was in martial arts and Krav Maga that were like her. No sense of humor. They're feminists because training in martial arts, particularly Krav Maga, tends to attract a certain type of female. They're more on the masculine side. And I was friendly with a lot of people in the school. A lot of us hung out and got together for parties and gatherings. And then these other gals would come along and various subjects would come up. They didn't like me too much because I would speak my mind. And they thought I was a jerk. Whatever. They love me on here. But anyhow, you don't deserve him. Move on, learn your lesson, and take that giant stick out of your rear end. Now some comments here. One guy says here, Sasha Baron Cohen thing is satire. One of the purposes of satire is to shine a spotlight on people's darker thoughts and prejudices and force the viewer and reader to face them. If your boyfriend was laughing, that's a better sign than if he were like, yeah, F chicks, this dude has it right. Another one says, I haven't seen this particular film, but I've seen enough of his shit to know that sort of thing that he does. You sound pretty uptight and humorless. You might have done him a favor. Another one. This is from a woman. She says, I'm a female and an feminist, but I'm afraid you're the kind of woman I shrink from. It was an effing comedy movie. If you want to spend your life getting huffy and indignant about some dumb Hollywood humor flick, then you really must have very little actual importance to worry about. Yeah, really. I'm willing to bet you she probably comes from a family that, who knows, does pretty well, doesn't have to worry about a whole lot, so little things like this get her worked up. But I'm willing to bet you also that the type of people that she hangs around with, or typically if she minored in women's studies, I can only imagine the types that taught those classes, they too have no sense of humor, and they too look for the littlest, dumbest things to get worked up about. Because if they don't have something to be worked up about, what are they also going to do with their time? And last one. Wow, if I were him, I wouldn't go back. That is utterly ridiculous. Most of the time, your summary favors your causes, but yours just flat out says you are insecure, anal, controlling, and are way too sensitive. A freaking man. So guys, you guys do dating relationships, as if I'm not already preaching to the choir here, avoid the feminists. They have no freaking sense of humor, and it seems the younger feminists nowadays are the worst ones. The only thing missing from here is saying that she has blue hair and tattoos all over her forearms. Be warned.